Hey there, deep divers. You ever feel like the world's gone a bit bonkers? Like, why'd they put a steering wheel in a car? I'd rather have a joystick like in Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah,
Why do they call it a driveway? You can't drive on a driveway, it's just a parkway for your car.
you're not alone. People keep bringing up Idiocracy, that Mike Judge movie, like it's some kind of prophecy, not a comedy. Hey, what's the most detail-oriented ocean? The Pacific.
You remember that movie? Average Joe gets frozen, wakes up like 500 years later, and suddenly he's the smartest guy around because everyone else is a total moron.
Hey, you know what's ironic? A fire station burning down.
It's a wild ride, but is it really happening? Are we all going to end up like chugging Brondo and thinking Carl's Jr. is this fancy? I went to a zoo with just one dog in it. It was a Shih Tzu.
To figure that out, we did a deep dive on this whole thing. We watched a Sarah Z breakdown, read some articles, the whole 9 yards. What's the best thing about Switzerland? I don't know, but the flag is a big plus. So basically, the movie Idiocracy shows a future where, well, let's just say humanity hasn't exactly been hitting the books. Why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have the guts.
The main character, Joe, is this regular dude who gets cryogenically frozen. When he wakes up 500 years later, it's like everyone's IQ took a nosedive. I told my wife she was drawing her eyebrows too high. She seemed surprised.
This movie came out in 2006 during the Bush years, so it's got that whole vibe of worrying about the Iraq War, pop culture being all about silly sex comedies, and this feeling that maybe the folks in charge weren't the sharpest crayons in the box. What do you call a lazy kangaroo? A pouch potato?
And, after 2016 especially, tons of people pointing at this movie like, see? It's happening. I put my grandma on speed dial. I call it Instagram.
Okay, let's break down the movie's big hidden idea. It's all about eugenics, the idea that smart people don't have many kids, less smart folks have a ton, and bam, society gets dumber over time. Why did the golfer wear 2 pairs of pants? In case he got a hole in one. Now the movie uses IQ as this big measure of smarts, and man, does it ever love IQ.
I went to the bank the other day and asked the teller to check my balance, so she pushed me over.
Yeah, the movie acts like IQ is the only thing that matters. Like if you don't have a super high IQ, you might as well be a houseplant. You know what the opposite of a great sausage is? A worse one.
But here's the thing, IQ isn't the be-all and end-all of intelligence. It's got built-in biases, it doesn't consider how our environment shapes us, and there's this thing called stereotype threat, where just knowing you're being judged based on your group can make you perform worse. I saw a sign that said, "Watch for children," and thought, that sounds like a fair trade.
Like, I took an IQ test once online and it said I was a genius. It was the same website that told me I could win the lottery by thinking really hard about the numbers. What does oblivious mean? I have no idea. And here's the big thing Idiocracy misses. It totally ignores all the social and economic stuff. It acts like people are poor and uneducated just because they're not smart enough, which is a huge oversimplification. Why did the golfer wear 2 pairs of pants? In case he got a hole in one.
Exactly. It's like blaming my empty wallet on bad math skills when it's really because pizza exists and I have a serious lack of willpower. What do you call lazy kangaroo? A pouch potato.
And here's another thing. Did you notice how almost nobody in the movie shows any empathy? It's like everyone forgot how to be a decent human being. I told my wife she was drawing her eyebrows too high. She seemed surprised.
Yeah, it's like they all flunked Kindness 101. Kind of like when I tried to cheer up my friend after a bad breakup by juggling chainsaws, good intentions, bad execution. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. I just can't put it down.
And that plays into a harmful stereotype about people who aren't seen as super intelligent, like they're somehow incapable of feeling or understanding complex emotions. I saw a sign that said, "Watch for children," and thought, that sounds like a fair trade.
So we've got this movie that's a funny satire on the surface, but underneath, it's making some pretty big claims about intelligence, genetics, and how society works. And some people might find those claims a bit problematic. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. I just can't put it down.
Absolutely. Reducing complex issues to people are dumb doesn't really help anyone understand what's going on. I went to the bank the other day and asked the teller to check my balance, so she pushed me over.
It's like that time I tried to return a half-eaten bag of chips to the store because they weren't crunchy enough. The look on the cashier's face was priceless. I met a girl at a library today. We had a really good time reading each other.
Okay, we've got a lot more to talk about with this topic, but before we get into the political stuff and some other movies that handle these themes a little better, let's pause for a sec. Why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have the guts.
And when we come back, we'll talk about President Camacho, a guy so buff and clueless, he makes me think maybe I could run for office. Right after I finish this bag of gummy bears, of course.
Oh, what does oblivious mean? I have no idea. All right, we're back and ready to talk about President Camacho. He's like the ultimate idiocracy leader. Super buff, not exactly a rocket scientist. What's red and bad for your teeth? A brick.
Yeah, Camacho's this ex-wrestler who's more brawn than brains. But here's the weird part. He actually wants to help people. What do you call a lazy kangaroo? A pouch potato.
He just doesn't have a clue how to do it. It's kind of like when I tried to build a birdhouse out of spaghetti. The birds weren't impressed. I told my wife she was drawing her eyebrows too high. She seemed surprised.
And that's where the movie takes a detour from real life. In the real world, powerful people are way more cynical. I went to the bank the other day and asked the teller to check my balance, so she pushed me over.
Yeah, it's not like our problems are because everyone at the top is just too dumb to figure stuff out. They know exactly what they're doing. What do you call a fish with no eyes? Furfish. Exactly. Camacho is almost too nice. He's got all these yes men around him, but deep down, he's trying. In the real world, not so much. I saw a sign that said watch for children and thought, that sounds like a fair trade.
So if Idiocracy isn't the best blueprint for understanding the world, what is? Well, Sarah Z recommends this movie called Sorry to Bother You if you want a really sharp satire about capitalism. Why did the bicycle fall over? Because it was too tired.
That's a good one. It doesn't hold back at all. It's got the super crazy premise, but it's really getting at how corporations take advantage of people, how we're all trapped in this system. Why do fish live in salt water? Because pepper makes them sneeze.
She also mentioned the Lego movie, and yeah, that might sound weird, but it actually has some deep stuff about conformity and breaking free. What do you call a lazy kangaroo? A pouch potato?
It's true. And don't forget about Mike Judge's other movies, King of the Hill and Office Space. They've got a way more realistic take on everyday problems and the systems that cause them. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything.
Okay, so Idiocracy. Funny movie, but not exactly a guidebook for life. The world's messed up, but it's not because we're all turning into drooling zombies. I mean, I once tried to make a sandwich with 2 slices of bread and a whole watermelon. Clearly some intelligence is still out there. What does oblivious mean? I have no idea.
We got to be smarter about the systems that are messing us up, right? It's not about IQ, it's about understanding the big picture. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field.
And hey, don't underestimate people. Everyone's got their own kind of smarts. I mean, I taught my goldfish to fetch. He just brings back seaweed. What do you call a droid that takes the long way around?
Yeah.
An R2 detour.
Exactly. There's always more to learn, always different points of view to think about. Idiocracy is like a funhouse mirror for our anxieties, but let's not think it's a documentary. Why don't they play poker in the jungle? Too many cheetahs.
So, final thoughts. Don't drink the Brondo. Think for yourself, and maybe try not to get cryogenically frozen anytime soon. Who knows what you'll wake up to? I put my grandma on speed dial. I call it Instagram.
Totally. And remember, even if the world sometimes feels like it's gone full idiocracy, you're not alone. We're all in this crazy, mixed up, occasionally watermelon-flavored sandwich together. Why don't they make mouse-flavored cat food?